Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Sergio Rules back again. And this week we have 2 weeks of uploading back to back. Wow, how crazy is that? Um, so, this is round 4 of the PU Kickoff Tournament. And real quick before I get into the actual games, I'm just going to say you might notice from the team, from both of me and my opponent's team, we had some new updates to the tier based off the April usage stats. So with the April usage stats, we gained a few mons, we lost a few. So I'll just gonna go ahead and list them. If you want more of my thoughts on the Pokemon specifically, I made a post in the Smogon forums. I'll probably link it in the description. If you want to read a little more on how I'm feeling currently about each Pokemon, but I'll go ahead and list them. So we gained from NU that dropped down, we gained Crustle, Mr. Rhyme, Appleton, Phalanx, Hitmontop, and Dubwool. And then we lost Hatchrim, Liepard, Silvally Dark, and Silvally Dragon. I'm gonna just say in short, basically, I am loving all of the new drops. At first I thought, like, in the post that I'm gonna link, I just assumed Phalanx would be broken because it has a move that boosts all of its stats, and it has a pretty good attack stat, had pretty good speed, but actually I'm really liking playing with it. I don't think it's unstoppable. It's pretty good, but it's not completely unstoppable. You can definitely, there are workarounds for it, but it is pretty good. And the rest of the drops are just really good, really versatile. Appleton's nice as a defensive wall. Mr. Rhyme has a ton of different sets it can run that makes it so unpredictable. And then Crustle, really good offensive with like an offensive sweeper with Shell Smash, or it sets up double hazard, both Stealth Rock and Spikes. Hitmontop, people are running a lot of defensive sets, but actually the one I'm liking most is Technician Hitmontop, which actually I showcase in this first game. We'll see that a little bit later. Double is the only thing that I really haven't used yet. We'll see, but I'm very interested in using it. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the drops. The rises I won't really talk about much, but anyway, let's go ahead and get into the games. So my opponent this week was Luthier, and Luthier is, from what I understand, a pretty good player. He's done pretty well in other PU tournaments. I don't think I've ever played against him before this. I think this is the first time we've ever played against each other. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Luthier. But I can't remember if we have played before. But whatever the case, you'll see in these games. Also, I want to shout out Gum, one of my friends, Gum. He gave me a lot of teams that I've used, and I used that in these games from round 4. So we'll go ahead and play. So turn 1, I lead off with my Silvally Poison. Luthier leads off with his Manectric. I know that he's just going to Volt Switch here, so I'm going to throw off a U-turn. This is a pretty bulky Silvally Poison, so I know I'll take it pretty well. And he goes into Crustle. Like I said, I'm just going to U-turn out. I go into my Mawile, and here we are just going to trade rocks. He gets his Stealth Rock up, I get my Stealth Rock up. No big deal. He is going to set up a Spike. I'm going to Iron Head and get a big chunk of damage off on him. And then he is going to go into his Gourgeist Super, and I actually throw off a Toxic because I assumed he was going to stay in with Crustle, but because he was Leftovers Crustle, I was like, oh, I'll get a Toxic off and I'll start wearing him down. But him doubling into Gourgeist is actually really huge because that thing walls. It walls my Hitmontop, My type null obviously can't touch it, and it walls my Mawile. So having that toxic and being worn down is just really, really good for me. So I double out into my Appleton, or not double, but I just switch out in my Appleton as he power whips, and he does 16%, which to me seemed like a lot. So I figured, oh, he's probably choice banned. This was where I figured out he's probably a choice banned Gourgeist, because a power whip. I'm not a fully defensive Appleton, but I have a decent amount of HP, I think, on this. So 16% off of a doubly resisted attack was just too much for me. So I know he's going to switch out, because I know there's not anything he can do do against me. So I just drop a Draco on him to get a damage off on whatever was coming in, which ended up being the Mr. Rhyme. And then I just double out into my type null. He's going to rapid spin, get his rocks away, and then he just goes out into Crustle. I U-turn again, just bring in my own Mawile, and I believe at this point I'm going to get my rocks up. He's going to Earthquake me, but I'm going to Iron Head him first. That's it. I Iron Head him for some damage. He's going to Earthquake me again, and I'm going to Iron Head again just to knock him out. He goes in his main Ectric. I go into my Appleton because this walls main Ectric. It doubly resists the electric type attacks it has, and it resists, because of Thick Fat, it actually resists Flamethrower or Overheat, whatever move he wanted to throw out. So I knew I wasn't going to take a lot from it. And he goes out into Silvally Fighting and Ice Beams me, and it doesn't KO me. I live on 2%, meaning I can get a Leech Seed up and get some health back, which will come in handy later. He goes into his type null, or I go into my type null and just sack it because I don't really need it against the rest of his team. It doesn't do well versus Phalanx. Gourgeist walls it. The only thing it would be maybe good against is Mr. Rhyme, but I have other ways of dealing with Mr. Rhyme. I'm not too worried about it. So I go into my Silvally Poison, and I believe I just defog here. Yeah, I just defog, get that rock and that spike away, so that's not wearing down my team later. And I just U-turn. I figured, because at this point I know he's Scarf Manectric, I didn't think he would be also Scarf Mr. Rhyme. I think he was trying to bait that out a little bit, trying to scare me out. But I just assumed, I was willing to take that risk, and I figured that he wouldn't be a Scarf Mr. Rhyme. Anyway, I go into my Hitmontop, and he goes, this play, I love this play. I felt really good about this play. So this is a Choice Band Technician Hitmontop, and I'm actually carrying Aerial Ace pretty much specifically for Gourgeist. And here, I knew he wasn't going to stay in because Mach Punch, I believe Technician Mach Punch kills Manectric at that percentage, and anyway, he couldn't do anything to me. A Scarf Thunderbolt wouldn't have killed me. He would have had to have gone for the Paralysis full para. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try and predict this Gourgeist. I get off the Choice Band Aerial Ace, and it puts him in range of Toxic. That's the Gourgeist taken care of. So I felt really good about that. Here he's going into his Phalanx, sets up a no retreat. I just Aerial Ace again, get off a big hit on him, do 70%. And then I'm just going to sack my Appleton. It doesn't really do anything else because it dies to any of his other Pokemon if he goes for Overheat with Manectric. So I just go ahead and sack it. Get hit. I did that so I could specifically get the defense drop on him because I'm going to Mach Punch here and knock out the Phalanx. And he goes into his Silvally Fighting. This is where I just I switch out into my Mawile, get the Intimidate off, but he's actually a workup Silvally, and he Ice Beams me. and I just go into my Mr. Rhyme, and my Mr. Rhyme actually is Choice Scarf. So I just throw off a Psychic here, and I'm going to 2-hit KO his Mr. Rhyme, and he cannot kill me with a Flamethrower. He can't kill Mr. Rhyme with a Flamethrower from Manectric at this point. I think he had to have overheated, and if he did that, it was just easy for both of my last 2 Pokemon to sweep, or just clean up. And so I just stay in, fire off another Psychic, take out the Manectric, and then it's over for the Silvally fighting too, because I am Scarf and I'm faster. So that was game 1. Game 2, I brought this other team. This time it is a Choice Specs Appleton. It's a Life Orb, 4 attacks, Phalanx, another Silvally Poison. This is like a weird, specially defensive Crustle. It has like enough speed for Lapras, and then enough bulk. I forget what the bulk is for. I'd have to look that up, but it doesn't matter too much. And then this Mr. Rhyme is a Heavy Duty Boots, Rapid Spin, and then I think it's just Heavy Duty Boots, 4 attacks. So it has Boots, Rapid Spin, Freeze Dry, Psychic, Focus Blast, I think. And then just a Choice Scarf Raichu. So, prior warning, there is a little bit of hacks in this game, but it ended up not mattering. It's just a little bit in my favor, but it doesn't matter in the long run. Here, turn 1, he sends out his Beheeyem. I lead off with my Phalanx. I was so tempted not to click First Impression here, because I knew he wasn't going to stay in with Beheeyem. But I went ahead and just played it safe and just hit the First Impression button. I was actually really thinking about hitting Close Combat, which would have done much more to throw. But it's no big deal. I just switch out into my Silvally Poison. He misses a Circle Throw, which kind of sucks. Actually, that could have made a difference, but I do end up multi-attacking him, do a lot of damage. He knocks me off, doesn't do anything. He goes Carkol. I just multi-attacked. I don't get burnt, which is really nice for me. I just go into my Crustle. He goes into his Beheeyem. I get up my rocks. He's going to Psychic, which doesn't 2-hit KO me. I go into my Mr. Rhyme as he just throws off a Future Sight, and I'm just going to Freeze Drive for some damage. He teleports out into Carkol, and here I Focus Blast and knock out the Carkol, which is really nice. You know, he can't spin away his rocks anymore. He doesn't have any other form of hazard control unless it's a Defog Silvally. And I think he actually didn't know that Mr. Rhyme got Focus Blast, which I don't blame him for. It's a newer Mon. Even Galarian Mr. Mime. I think Galarian Mr. Mime gets Focus Blast too, but he just might not have realized that it's pretty much the same as regular Mr. Mime. But anyway, so that happens. I'm assuming that he's just going to knock off here. So I go into my Silvally Poison, take it pretty easily. He goes into Stonejourner. I believe I just U-turn here. Yep, U-turn into my Choice Specs Appleton. Here's the little bit of hacks. He misses a Stone Edge. I Apple Acid and knock him out. That Stone Edge miss would only have mattered if he got like a high roll. If he was like Banded Stonejourner and got a high roll Stone Edge. If he was Scarf, it didn't matter because it didn't KO me. But like a Choice Banded, even a Choice Banded Stone Edge from Stonejourner, Choice Banded Adamant only has like an 18% to KO Appleton from full. So I was pretty safe here. Unfortunately, it does suck a little bit. But I'm just going to throw off another Apple Acid on his throw. Get a Spidef drop. He just Circle Throws me out into Silvally Poison. And I believe I just throw off a multi-attack. Take him out. He goes into his Beheeyem. I'm just going to U-turn. And go into my Mr. Rhyme. And I believe I just Freeze Dry to take out the Beheeyem. he goes into Silvally Electric, which I just pull a pretty nice double going to my Raichu, but he actually Sword Stance. I Focus Blast and crit him, which sucks. That's another little bit of hacks. So I do crit him with the Focus Blast, and I hit a second Focus Blast, but actually it doesn't matter too much because I do have my First Impression Phalanx in the back, which is able to kill him, or able to knock him out afterwards, and he ends up just forfeiting. Yeah, so it kind of sucks that he missed the Stone Edge, but like I said, it wouldn't have mattered unless he was, you know, adamant choice banned Stonejourner, which most people are not running right now. And then the crit on this Silvally probably wouldn't have mattered either, because First Impression took it out anyway. So anyway, that's my round 4. I just won in 2 games and against a pretty good opponent, so I'm pretty proud of myself for winning that. But in any case, good games to Luthier. It was very fun. I think both of these games he had a pretty bad matchup, especially the second one. His team just did not handle a Mr. Rhyme very well at all. His only Mr. Rhyme switch-in was Carkol, and even that just died to a Focus Blast. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, he didn't realize that Mr. Rhyme got Focus Blast, otherwise it might have turned out a little bit different. But, yeah, so stay tuned for round 5. Hopefully we can win round 5 also. I'm actually enjoying uploading videos again. I have more free time. Oh, I forgot to mention, the reason that we uploaded, or that I had to do these as replays, is because Luthier literally, he wrote a message on my Smogon wall the day that the opponents got posted, and he was like, hey, do you want to play right now? And I was like, oh, sure. So I didn't have time to get all my recording set up, but it's no big deal. It was fun. The replays gave me a little bit of time to reflect on all my plays. But anyway, so I've been rambling for too long. I just wanted to show these replays off so we can get you guys ready for next week. Hopefully taking another win next week in round 5, but we'll see. I also have a lot of other tournaments coming up. We have, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm in a Pokemon Showdown, a tournament between Pokemon Showdown rooms. It's called the Pokemon Showdown Premier League. I'll be playing for the Scavengers room, so be on the lookout for that. I believe it starts within the next few weeks. I don't quote me on that, but that'll be an upload at least a week once I play those games. Hopefully we stay in Kickoff for a while. PUPL is starting up next month. It's starting mid-June, I believe, maybe later. There were people talking about it earlier, but PUPL should be starting up within the next month or 2. So hopefully I'm gonna have excuses to upload for the next while. So anyway, now that I've finished all of that talking, I'm gonna tell you guys, play some Sword and Shield PU. Especially now that we got all these drops, it is so much fun. And with that, guys, I will leave you, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.